Hi, my name is Ariel Chavez. I'm in the 12:30 Monday, Wednesday, Friday class of Elements of Intercultural Communications, and today I will be speaking on the language of Tagalog along with the Filipino culture. To make it a little more entertaining with every subject point, I will put on a new hat. Number one is, how does language influence culture? According to the Linguistic Society of America, in the article stated, does the language I speak alter the way that I think? The culture's thoughts, habits, traditions, and language all have grown up together. However, this was first studied in the 1940s by Benjamin Whorf. Later on, his student Edward Sapir joins into this overall hypothesis. However, when it was first studied, the Native Americans with the language of Hopi was the first subject point that was studied. Whorf noticed that the way that they perceived the world was completely different to what he noticed the English perceived the world. This then broke into a huge discussion of why maybe the way that the culture that they have grown in, causes them to see the world completely differently due to their traditions, lifestyles, and habits that they have grown up in. One experience that could be an example of this is when someone goes to a foreign country, let's say to the Philippines, and they see somebody eating dog. It would be completely icky because they haven't grown up with the same traditions. However, to a native Filipino who is from the Philippines would not see it as something icky because it is a relative point to them because they've grown up with such things. Because of examples like these, Whorf believed that both Hopi speakers and English speakers perceive the world completely differently, and he was curious if this happened with every other language. Due to how they had spoken about given situations, for example, time. English sees time as something that can be categorized. For example, English speakers categorize time in minutes, seconds, days, hours, something that can be wasted or saved because we do see it as a categorized thing. However, the Hopi didn't see time this way. They see it as a continuous, unbreaking thing, completely altering their definition of time altogether. Number two, give a brief overview of the language that is unique to your culture in light of your research. According to the Tagalog Language of Roots to Destiny article of linguistics, there were many different reasons to why the Tagalog language was unique, and that's because many different cultures seeped into such. The first being immigrants from the Ashenian language family who started the development of Tagalog altogether. Number two, when the Sanskrites actually influenced the language of Tagalog from encounters like direct trade or including them traveling from India, from the Malaysian peninsula on the way to the Philippines. The Sanskrites began to seep in the language, altering the foundation a little bit. And the Spanish, when Catholic friars in the second half of the 16th century came in and was spreading religion, their Spanish began to immerse into a little bit of Tagalog. And an example of this would be the Filipino greeting, "Kumusta po?" which bears a resemblance to the Spanish one of "Cómo estás?" Last but not least, point four, when the Philippines were taken over by the U.S. after the Treaty of Paris, English language also began to seep into the Tagalog. And now English is actually taught in some classrooms currently in Filipino classrooms. Pick 3 well-known idioms of the culture you're researching. So, from the website entitled Examples of Filipino Idioms, the following idioms are given. Kabagnang indagdag, which literally means the other half of the heart. This is an idiom that actually translates to the other half of your heart, which is one's spouse. Because much of the Filipino language can be literal, this idiom falls under that category. Although it means other half of the heart literally, it relates to the wedding vows that one has spoken at the altar, and love is a huge thing in the Filipino language. It is not so much of a dating one another scene like America perceives it. Love is very traditional in the Philippines. It's more like courting. And so this idiom comes into place because when one is at the altar, they are very serious with the other person, and it does literally become the other half of themselves. In 2002, the Pinoy column of Business World states that it is in the Philippines, courting Filipina means basically courting our family as well. This is just because when you are marrying your other spouse, it is so important to this culture. Number 2 is dagyag tindang tsidap. Sorry if I stated that wrong. However, this is an idiom for worry or fear, and the literal translation is mouse in the chest. This idiom refers to the fears one has after going a goal or achievement. This can be used, for example, when a man is actually scared to court a woman, that his buddies might use this idiom to say, no, go after the girl you're going off, stop having bagyak dibdib sibab. I apologize for butchering the pronunciation. This might be used often when fear is involved. Number 3 is magdag alagdib, makaangdila, which describes a chatterbox or talkative person and is actually translated into itchy tongue. I actually very much remember personally this idiom. My mom used to tell it to me whenever we were in the car, and I would just talk all the time. My mom would tell me this. So I'm a little sad that I can't pronounce it correctly. However, it does relate largely to our culture because Filipinos do typically like to talk a lot, based off of my own personal experience. So this was my video speaking about the language and culture of the Philippines. I hope you enjoy. Last but not least, have a good one.